We'll call this combined meeting of the Parks and Recreation and Historical Preservation and Greenway Advisory Committees to order. This is the first. Not every member of every committee is here tonight, but we have a quorum to hold this meeting. And Dennis couldn't make it. He had something come up and couldn't make it tonight, who's chairman of Historical Preservation. But so we're going to combine and get some information to everybody, and staff is here to update each committee with the various projects and how they intertwine with each other. So I'd like to welcome each of you to the meeting, and thank you for your service to this community. And just for sake of everyone who may not know everyone, if we'll start on the end there with Sarah, if you'll just tell who you are, your name and things, that way everybody that may not know you will know that, and we'll just start there.
Okay, Sarah Hallowagon, and I am on the Greenway Advisory Committee.
Tyler Mann with the Historic Preservation Committee.
Leanne Crawley, and I'm with Parks and Recreation Advisory.
I'm Carrie Smith, Historic Preservation.
Bob Simon with Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee.
Doug Smith with the Greenway Advisory Committee.
Bruce Aguilar with Parks and Rec.
Donna Bebout, Laverne Senior Center Coordinator.
Angie Mays, Marketing and Program Coordinator.
Aaron Simmons, Landscape Turf Specialist.
Robin Grubb, Director.
Kim Smathers, Administrative Assistant.
Cecil Painter, Maintenance Supervisor.
Michael Tisdale, Athletic Coordinator.
All right, thank you. And of course, I'm Jerry Gann, chairman of this committee and also vice mayor of the city. We'll start. We're going to try to keep this thing to about a 7:05 or 7:10 meeting, because once the sun gets down, it's going to cool off, and this is outdoors, as we all know. And we'll call Robin to give us a little update, just a quick update, and then get right into this Lake Forest Park, and for the sake of the other members on the other committees that can see what we're doing here and how the historical preservation intertwines with Parks and Rec and Greenways, how they all tie in together.
Well, we're glad to be showcasing Lake Forest Park tonight. It's been a long process in getting this park going, and this is a picture here of the master plan that was done several years ago, and we have done phase 1, and we have in the background you can see a pavilion. We have 2 pavilions with picnic tables. And we did partner with the police department and have a substation, a police substation back here. And we're hoping our next phase is going to be a walking trail, perimeter walking trail. We're applying for a grant next year and hoping to get a perimeter walking trail done as our next phase. So that's Parks and Rec and Greenways. And also we have the historical preservation side of it is we have a historical cemetery here. The Mason family cemetery is right in the middle of the park, and so we're also hoping to do improvements to the cemetery, maybe a perimeter fence, and keep an eye on it. So kind of all 3 committees go together in a showcase in the park tonight.
All right, thank you, Robin. Yeah, the Mason family cemetery, as Robin had said, is got some historical significance in the city. The Masons settled this area early, and some of the descendants are buried there. And Dennis Waldron and I have talked a little bit about partnering each committee together and trying to raise some funds to put the perimeter fencing up and maybe put up some type of a historical marker showing the historical significance there. Would you like to add anything else with that, Robin? Or is there any questions, I guess, from any of the committee members?
If we've completed phase 1, how many phases are there to completion?
It's probably going to end up being 3 phases because we also are going to put in playground eventually. We are going to keep a nice green area in the middle of the park, just open green space. But it didn't start out as going to be a phased park, but just for funding purposes, we have ended up phasing it in.
What's the total acreage here?
It is 7.1. 7.1.
Any other questions?
Now, I would say that this land was donated also. Do you want to go talk about
Yeah, this
that?
land was donated from the developer of the subdivision. It was many years ago, and it just was overgrown and finally become realization. And we finally managed to break ground and get it in here, and as I said, partnered with the police department. And I got to say, you know, the police department and Parks and Rec, and in fact, most departments in the city, all of them, in fact, are really working hard together to use the city resources the best they can and provide for citizens. If there's no other questions, we wanted to talk a little bit about the cabin. I know that some of you may not know in the Parks and Rec Committee and the Sidewalk or Greenways Committee may not know that there was a cabin that was discovered that has some significance to the city as well. And I think Aaron is going to speak to that to give us a little background on you know, where it was found and how it came about and where we're at today.
Well, the cabin was found off of Stones River Road on the other side of the railroad tracks from where we are right now. It was found inside of a house. The house was actually built around the cabin. The cabin dates back to around 1850. It was about thereabout somewhere, give or take a few years. But the house that was around it was being demolished, and the owners donated it to the city. I believe Miss Carrie Smith of the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee, I believe your grandfather lived in that house?
My great-grandfather.
Your great-grandfather. When it actually was a cabin. We're still trying to do a little bit of research as far as who built it, if it had been moved to where it was there on Stones River Road, things like that. But we are in the process of renovating it. We just this budget year acquired some money and had some foundation work done on it. Some major log replacement, some stone piers, but it currently sits in the old Bicentennial Park beside the City Hall. And hopefully, as interest picks up, we'll be able to finish and do more restoration work on it. Some log replacements and new roof, chimney, things like that. But it is slowly ongoing, and hopefully we can finish that up one day.
Miss Carrie, would you like to add anything to Aaron's comments, or?
Well, didn't hear real well down on this end, but that I do have a picture of my great-grandfather in the Civil War right here, and he was the one that lived there. And the cemetery is there where the log cabin was, over in the business park. That's his cemetery.
Okay. Is there any questions as it pertains to the cabin?
Is this the cabin right by that pavilion?
Yes.
And it's been there, and we plan on keeping it there, or are we?
It was moved to there. There actually is a cemetery, another cemetery that's right across the creek that runs right in the tree line there. Next to the pavilion, we thought was a good location for it, and it was moved there about 3 years ago. What I guess we call its final resting place.
How appropriate.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
Where is it going to be put when it's all finished? Is it going to be there?
Right where it is,
Right where it is?
in the Bicentennial Park next to the pavilion.
Okay.
I know that cabin has been sitting for a while, but it is coming along slowly.
It is.
As funding is coming available, but it's something, you know, it's kind of nice. It is.
This is Miss Carrie's great-grandfather, is that right? Great-grandfather that actually lived in the cabin.
And this picture is him after the war in a wheelchair in the center there.
Yeah, I'll add what they're looking at there now and showing is a copy of Green Trees. That's a book that was done several years ago, many years ago actually, and I think it's available in the library. Maybe not for sale. There's no more copies for sale, I don't think, but there may be some copies in the library that can be checked out.
It's him in the wheelchair.
Any other questions as far as any of the cabin or even the Mason Family Cemetery? Okay. We'll move right on into the Greenways portion. And Robin, I'll let you talk about the Greenways and I guess from the start and where we're at today and what's next.
Well, we early on, about 10 years ago, we did get some funding, some federal funding for Greenways, and we did a master plan and started working on trying to connect to Smyrna. And it's a slow process, and in that master plan it included sidewalks, and so far sidewalks is what we have accomplished. We have sidewalks on Murfreesboro Road and Stones River Road, and we are about to do sidewalks on Fergus Road. They're just about to go out for bid. And then we're going to work on connectivity as well as sidewalks and greenways around schools and community buildings. So we hope our next sidewalk project is going to be over by the high school on Cheney Boulevard. We do have some grant funding for that, and we're hoping to be able to start that project. We also, our big project, and I hope it is in our very near future, is going to be the stretch of Greenway behind City Hall that will connect City Hall to Hurricane Creek Boat Ramp. We are working with the Corps, and we just are hoping that that will happen pretty soon. Of course, everything takes time, but we hope that can move forward soon.
Thank you, Robin. Any questions about sidewalks? I'd like to add, and I don't have all the details, but Mona Herring with the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, she had told me the other day that Kate Cowhouse?
Kate Cow, K-Y-L-E.
Yeah, Kate Cowhouse, she was a Confederate spy, and she lived over on Fergus Road on the other side of the tracks. And that just recently had a marker put out with this significance, for historical significance, being Civil War related. And also there's a new book coming out. It's going to have a Civil War trail, and it's going to have several stops in it. It'll be given out at the Visitors Bureau and different places like that. So we'll actually have the first site is actually listed in a book for people coming through on the travels. And as we all know, that Rutherford County is full of Civil War significance, and it's great to actually have a site in Laverne that's going to be recognized, that will be included in the book for people to come by and see.
I have a lot of information on Cape Cod too.
So we're running a little bit early. Of course, I think we're holding all our questions because it is starting to cool off with the sun going down. You know, I hear teeth chattering. I'm not sure which side it's coming from, but I would like to ask that if for some input on maybe what specifically between historical preservation and Parks and Rec, and what we can do, maybe some ideas. I know historical preservation has been doing some ideas on try to, you know, some fundraising efforts in the past, because I really would like to see some type of ornament, you know, iron fence put up around the cemetery here in this park with some type of stone columns. I know we've been told that we've got someone who would most likely donate the stone and the labor to put the stone up in the, you know, perimeters, but we would just need to come up with some funding for fencing or find some donations for that. But I'd like to, you know, if anyone from the historical preservation may have an idea on how we can move forward with that, that'd be something great and that we can get working on. Okay. So
I'm not with preservation, but will the Greenways include that house on Fergus? Would the Greenways go by that? And also, would there be any money from the chamber to assist?
The chamber is, of course, put up all the wayfinding signs you see around the entire county now. But they also put that marker up at this house we're talking about over in Fergus. As far as Greenway tying into that area, that is the older section of town. I doubt that will happen unless some redevelopment takes place, just because of logistically where it's located at, trying to get there, because
Okay, I just
You'd have to start a couple of miles away just to get, you know, anything to run through there like that. But is there any staff have any ideas or input on maybe some funding for out here at this Mason Cemetery?
No, the one thing that comes to my mind, I believe that's Fergus Drive and not Fergus Road.
Oh, okay.
I think that might be a little bit of confusion there. No, I don't have.
Would there be
anything else
any
to add.
funding available from state historical societies or any assistance from that area?
I think that'd be something we'd have to let staff research on that to find out, you know, let a grant writer look into that.
I think you mentioned earlier we are out of the book Green Trees. Are we able to reprint more of those and
that may
put
be
them out for sale?
Miss Carey. That maybe do you have any insight on the Green Trees book and who actually owns the rights to that now?
I think Laverne Public Library does. Laverne Public Library does.
Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they're saying Laverne Public Library owns so the city owns the rights to that.
We can have it reprinted.
That may be something, you know, we can, you know, maybe sell some copies, find out, you know, what it would cost to get them done, and then maybe sell copies of it.
We need to do that. I don't know how many are left, but not very many.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any for sale anymore.
There are.
Oh, there are?
Some. I think there's about 10 or 15
Okay.
left.
Okay.
The last time that I had looked into it.
Okay. All right. Anything else anybody want to speak about as it may pertain to their committee or any other committee that's here tonight? Staff like to add anything?
I just want to thank the Parks and Recreation staff. They all worked hard to make this meeting happen, and especially Donna cooked. She made the refreshments, so we really appreciate her. But everybody on the staff always comes together and makes things happen, and they do a good job, and I'd like to thank them.
Okay.
And I'd also like to thank everybody from all three of the committees for coming out tonight and for your support and dedication. We do appreciate that very much.
I'd like to add that, and Donna, yes, thanks again for the food. My son Brandon, who's out there, he's obviously enjoying it. I hope there's some left that everyone else can enjoy as well. So we got some other events coming up. Robin, you want to talk about the cleanup and Trail of Treats coming up on October 31st?
Yes, October 31st, Halloween is a big day for us. We're starting out the morning with a community cleanup at Hurricane Creek Boat Ramp. We're going to clean up the roadbed where the future of we hope the future of our Greenway is going to be, but we're going to clean that up in the morning, and then that afternoon we have our annual Trail of Treats. So everybody put your costume on and bring the kids down there, and that's from 2 to 4 that afternoon at Veterans Memorial Park.
Okay. And go ahead and you can just talk about the annual kickball tournament. It's for adults.
Yes, the kickball tournament is it's an adult kickball tournament, co-ed. It is going to be on November 14th at Veterans Memorial Park, and if you're interested in putting a team in that, you can contact our athletic coordinator, Michael Tisdale, and he will give you all the information you need. But that is really a lot of fun. We do a lot for our kids year-round, and that's one thing that we take a weekend out or a day out and do a fun event for adults.
Okay, thank you. Michael, real quick, we normally covered it at Parks and Rec. Refresh everyone's memory on our statistics for the leagues this year. I know the leagues have had a hard time this year with the rain. I know the rain has really dampened a lot of the games, and I know we're running behind and I've heard yesterday we're going to add some other dates, some Sundays possibly, just to try to get some games in.
Yes, sir. Yes, Sundays and possibly Wednesday nights as well. Try to avoid those. I know we've pushed back the season a few days now, but Cecil and the guys and the maintenance crew have done a good job of trying to work through all this rain and make sure we get in these games. Right now, the numbers are still consistent. Maybe a little bit of a drop off from the past. It's because of maybe the economy, but the numbers are still great. I think we're just below 500 in baseball and softball this year. Football actually grew a little bit from last year. So football season is just completed last weekend, and this week will be the first round of playoffs. So obviously it's football, so they play in the rain. We haven't had an issue with that. But baseball will make them up sooner or later. I think they plan on completing their regular season next Tuesday, the 27th, and then they will complete their postseason on Saturday, the 31st. That's as long as we can keep beautiful weather like this and not get any more rain.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other questions by this committee? Any other comments or? No comments? Mr. Dodd, good to see you, sir. The Mark is on our Greenway Advisory Committee. We appreciate you coming here tonight. And any other comments? Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out to here tonight. It's an unusual meeting, being outdoors. We'll see how it turns out. And it is cooling down a little bit. We really want to get this in and kind of showcase this park a little bit. Now, of course, you know, we do have some refreshments and some finger foods, and please stick around and ask questions or enjoy the food that Donna prepared for us, and we sure appreciate it. And if there's no other comments, we'll call this meeting adjourned.